doing? Is everybody good? Listen, none of y'all better be falling asleep. You shouldn't have stayed up so late. Got it? Okay, we're good. All right. I have a sports question for you. Um I know. How many of you in this room run track? Oh, wait, we have some track stars. I can't see you all, but okay, we have some people who run track. I need you to know now, listen, a lot of times if I go speak somewhere, I will tell you that I have a husband and 4 kids, and I'll tell you all about them, but you guys are teenagers and don't care about all that. So I'm not going to tell you all of that, except for I have a husband and 4 kids, but I'm also a track mom. Okay, I have a daughter who runs track. And I need you to know that your mamas would do the same thing if they were on this stage talking about their track star daughter. We're going to watch a video of my daughter who runs track. Hey, and listen, you better cheer for her. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, so that's Hallie. You guys cheered so good, thank you. I would have had to cut you if you didn't cheer for her. Oh, thank you. Hallie's great. Listen, what does Hallie do in track? Somebody tell me. High jump. Thank you. One of you guys know about track. Does anyone in here actually do high jump? Oh, okay. What's your name? Bentley? Okay, Bentley, we have a high jump set up for rec time, and everyone's going to face you in high jump today. You think you can do it? Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with track, if you don't run track, that event was called the high jump, and the whole point of it is to see how high you can jump. Okay, they ran out of names. Now, I do want to show you a photo, and as soon as you know who the guy is, I want you to shout out who he is. Mike's a good guess. Anybody old know who this is? It's close. He looks just like Hallie, doesn't he? I mean, besides okay, so his name is Richard Fosbury. Anybody know that? No, because that's a lame fact to know. His name is Richard Fosbury, and what he's doing there is this technique called the Fosbury flop. Okay? You guys are going to learn so many things today. So this was a completely different technique than what anyone had ever done before in high jump. Previously, people would jump forward or dive. This was a technique that was never ever used. And so, Fosbury here runs and jumps backwards like that. And do you know what people thought when they first saw him? They said, "Bro, you look plumb ridiculous. Why in the world are you jumping like this?" Like, they laughed at him. They for sure called this man foolish because everyone else was jumping one way, like swan dive over the thing. Bentley, that's what you're trying today. Got it? Okay, are you ready? If I out high jump you, I get to buzz your head. Yeah. All right, somebody find a high jump bar. We will jump over a broom, bro. We will do this later. We'll figure it out. Okay, everyone was jumping one way, and Fosbury was jumping a completely different way. But here's the thing. While everyone else was laughing at this man, he was clearing the bar, okay? Like, he actually went on to win a gold medal in the Olympics, and people were like, well, maybe this isn't such a silly idea, right? And now, if you went to Portland High School or wherever track meets happen, and you watched a track meet and watched all the high jump stars, that's how they're jumping. Like, now, this day and age, everyone, 99% of people, that's how they do the high jump. So what once was called ridiculous, now it's the standard for how people compete. What everyone else laughed at kind of changed the way the sport happened forever. The people who are willing to be different are often the people who can make the biggest difference, right? And we're going to jump right in to a question that makes me wonder that we're going to kind of try to answer today is this. What if some of the things the world calls foolish are actually the things that changes everything? Okay? What if some of the things the world calls foolish are actually the things that change everything? Because that's what happened in the life of Jesus. See, Jesus was different. Okay? He loved people that nobody wanted to love. He forgave people that nobody wanted to forgive. He served instead of being served when he had every opportunity to be served. He washed feet, right? He did things that no one else had thought about. He sat with sinners. He blessed people who wouldn't be able to do anything in return for him. And the world looked at him and really kind of like labeled him exactly what we're talking about this weekend. They would look at him and they would say, that's really foolish. This man is foolish. And the really crazy thing is that you might be familiar with is that Jesus calls us to live the exact same way. He asks us to live that way too. Now, it's one thing to be a little bit different in high jump, right? Or you're like, I'm not high jumping over nothing. It's one thing when it comes to track and field. But it's completely different when you're saying, like, hey, I want you to be a little bit different in your faith. And what I mean by that is being called to be a little bit different as you follow Jesus. I know sometimes we use words, and I want to make sure that you all understand. Like, when I'm talking about faith today, I'm saying being a follower of Jesus, our belief and confidence in Jesus. And not only our belief and confidence in Jesus, but living as Jesus lived. I know you guys have heard this stuff before. You're living as Jesus lived, where you live, where you work, where you play, right? Living a life that imitates his, as if he were me. So if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, you are called to be different. You're called to do things a way that doesn't look the same as what everyone else is doing. Like, the world would say, like, man, you look really foolish. Like, your friends might say, like, that is old-fashioned stuff. That was for our grandparents. Like, we ain't living like that. That's what my grandma did, right? The world can call it weird, too much. But what does being different actually look like? Like, it's what I just said earlier. It's living this life that is doing the things that Jesus did that might not make a lot of sense to other people. See, Jesus, he didn't cancel people. He noticed people instead of canceling them. He kind of met them where they were, kind of different than what we do today, right? He saw them for who they really were, and he loved them. And here's the part that you can't miss. After he did those things, he called them to something different. Because we can hear those things and we're like, okay, but I need you to know, he never had to join in to feel accepted. He never joined in the behaviors. He never compromised his beliefs. It was actually quite the opposite, right? We see that he steps in and he loves people. He meets them where they are, and he calls them to a different life. And so I don't want students, for you all, to get confused that you're supposed to compromise your beliefs to fit in or to lead people. That's not at all what Jesus is saying. And I know in this room that sounds really good. Like, oh, this is great. Youth Conf, I can do this. Like, we hear this, and if I said, like, do you want to live a life that looks like Jesus? Well, first you would say, of course, because you'd think I'd tell you to leave, but you're like, of course I do. Like, yes. But the moment you actually try to live it out, sometimes it goes a little bit of a different direction. It gets a little bit harder because following Jesus sounds inspiring until it actually costs you something. And that's kind of what Pastor Brennan talked about last night, right? Like, following Jesus sounds really inspiring when we are hearing Sonny just belt it out at youth conference. Like, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds great. Like, following Jesus sounds inspiring when there's someone preaching about it to you on a Wednesday night and looking at you like, you love Jesus, right? You're like, yep. Following Jesus sounds really inspiring on a weekend in June when you're surrounded by all the same people who have the same feeling right now. That's when it sounds inspiring, but it gets a lot more difficult when we know it's costing us something. Because there is a cost, and that's where we begin to struggle. I don't think that any of us will be asked like, hey, you've got to die for your faith this week. Like, I don't think that's in the cards for us. But we are asked to look a little foolish for it. It looks like us living a little bit differently. And that does cost you something. And so we're going to kind of look at what are some of those somethings, because Pastor Brennan last night told you it was worth it. I'm going to try to tell you that it's worth it the best that I can. Pastor Tyler's going to try to tell you it's worth it. But before you know if it's worth it, like you do need to know some of the cost. And these are just some of them. One of them is sometimes being different is lonely. And at first in my notes, I had sometimes being different feels lonely, but I need you to know, students, it actually is lonely. It can be lonely. You can be in this room full of people and still feel like you're the only one or you're the odd one out. Like I got to talk to a couple gals this morning who are headed into high school, and you guys are all, changes, friends, groups, trying to fit in, and you finally get invited to a party, and you get there and you're like, whoa, like I don't know that I believe this stuff. I don't know that I want to partake and be a part of this. And so you just got where you wanted to be and you still feel lonely. Maybe there's Snapchat or social media or fill in the blank there. Like your parents don't let you on social media. I know, give them a big thumbs down. I understand. I'm that parent too. Or maybe you're making the decision for yourself. Like, hey, I don't have wise behavior patterns on social media or Snapchat, and so I'm refraining, but I feel like a loser. Like, I'm not even I'm not even on that. I don't even know. I just get to keep scrolling Pinterest over and over. Like, I get it. You've made the decision to honor God with your words, but everyone around you is not honoring God with your words, and you're like, oh, shoot. And you feel lonely when you're, oh, darn. Like, I understand. Everyone else they sound dumb saying the other words, but relationships. Your friends at youth conf are talking about who they've been hooking up with this summer. No boundaries in relationships, and you just don't feel like, I don't know where I fit there. You've had really clear boundaries, and a boy or a girl doesn't respect that, and you just feel lonely in that. I know some of you, it's your family. Oddly enough, like I know that there are students in this room where being different is really lonely because out of your family, you are the only one at church. You are the only one serving. Like your family thinks that you're weird for being here. I can't imagine, students, how lonely that is. You have friends. I could go on for days, but there are moments where the cost of being a little bit different feels lonely. And these moments don't feel so bold. They really just stink. Like, there's that Christian cussing again. Man, they stink. The next thing, sometimes being different is difficult. Sometimes being different is difficult because sometimes it means you actually have to say no to something that you really want. Like in Galatians, I think it's chapter 5, it says like the desires of the flesh are not the desires of the spirit. Like sometimes this is just plain difficult. It's saying no in moments where you really want to say yes. And as you start this journey or you've been on this journey, I think sometimes this is where the enemy can trip us up because we think like I shouldn't be having these difficult decisions anymore. Like it should be easy to say no to these things. And I need you to know it is difficult. Like you are still flesh. You still have these fleshly desires. Paul says like I want what I can't have. And that's true. Like it's saying no in these moments where it's just like you and your phone or you and that person or you and the decision that nobody else would know. That can be a difficult decision. I get it. It's choosing discipline when everything in you wants easy. Like easy is easy. Discipline is difficult. It's choosing self-control when nobody's watching. It's choosing forgiveness when you'd rather stay mad at the person. And sometimes they don't really deserve your forgiveness all that much. Or we don't think that they do. And choosing to control your tongue when everyone else is just letting it go. Like choices that will really serve you well in the long term. I promise they will, but they don't feel like it in the moment, do they? Like they will be choices that look different from everyone else and they'll just be hard. And then the third cost of this is sometimes being different is risky. Like, here's what you'll start to think, and the enemy will be very, very good at making you believe this. They're going to make fun of me. Can I tell you something? They probably are. Like, I hate to tell you, yeah, you're going to get made fun of. Like, they're going to make fun of me. What if I don't get invited next time? What if I get labeled? What if I lose a friend? The list goes on and on. And I, listen, I'm not dismissing you. Like, that fear is really legit. I have those fears. I will almost have been out of high school for 20 years, and I still have those fears. I probably have those fears more now as a 36-year-old than I did when I was in high school. Like, I'm being left out. I'm being made fun of. I don't fit in. Like, those are legit fears. And not only that, I can't necessarily understand where you're coming from, but I can because I'm also trying to raise kids that are different. And I know how difficult it can be. But I was looking around last night, just thinking even about that. And I was seeing small group leaders, and I would love for you to chat with some of your small group leaders today. I was looking around, and I saw them cutting up and having fun. Guys, it is so much fun to get with like-minded people. Like, ask your small group leaders, like the adults that you love here at GC or your churches, like what they've lost compared to what they have found in Christ and in community. Guys, I promise, it's risky. You are going to get made fun of, but you will find people that will love you. I promise. Watching last night, I was like, these people, they've got it. They'll tell you, like, this is incredible. And you're in good company because Jesus was mocked, Jesus was labeled, and he was eventually murdered. So there's your encouragement for the day, because he was different. So you're like, cool. So you told me that I'm going to have no friends get made fun of, not get to have Snapchat, and Jesus was murdered. So what makes it worth it for me? Like, what makes it worth it for us? And we're going to look in Matthew 5 this morning. But if following Jesus can be lonely, if following Jesus can be difficult and risky, why would anybody do it? Like, I've not given you a whole lot of good news so far. Like, why? You're like, okay, when I'm old, I'll have friends at church. Like, why would anybody do it? Why would anybody choose a life that the world calls foolish? And we're going to talk about this over and over again. Pastor Tyler's going to talk about it tonight. It's our verse for the weekend. Like, why would anybody choose a life that the world calls foolish? And in this verse, in 1 Corinthians 1:18, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we could end here. It answers the question. It says, the message of the cross is foolish to those who are headed for destruction, but we who are being saved know. I want you to say no. No, we know, not we think, not it might happen. We know it is the very power of God. This message of the cross is foolish, right? It feels foolish. The message of love your enemies, that's foolish too. The message of forgive people who hurt you, that is too. Stay pure when everyone else isn't, that's foolish too. Telling the truth when lying would be so much easier. Serve instead of being served. Excuse me, give instead of take. The world looks at that and says, that's dumb. Like, you're a fool if you believe that. And we choose it anyway. Not because we're actually dumb. Not one of y'all in here are dumb, but because of the second part of the verse. Let's listen to it again. The message of the cross is foolish to those who are headed for destruction. But we who are being saved know it is the very power of God. We've seen what it does. And that's not reserved for people my age. Like you as students, you have seen what it does. You've got to experience what the power of the cross and the gospel has done, haven't you? Right? I follow you all from afar. I know that God is working in your life. We've got to see lives changed at young ages. Like you guys, you're incredible. And I've tried to talk about this with my kids a little bit because you guys will hear stories of people who are like, you know, I had a hard life. I did this, I did this, I did this, and share their story. And those stories are encouraging. But can I tell you something, students? Watching students right now is so incredible to me because you are deciding at a young age that Jesus is enough. Like Jesus is enough at 13. Jesus is enough at 15. And I want you to know one day when you get to tell your story and you say, I chose Jesus at 13 and I just never looked back. What a sweet story that is. I couldn't think of a better story to say, like, Jesus was enough because I knew the power of the cross. I knew the power of the gospel. I knew that I was a fool going for destruction, and Jesus changed me now. And so I don't want you guys to think that this is something for when you're older. This is for you right now. So, what does this foolish, different life actually look like played out? Well, Jesus, he shows us an example in his what could be known as his most famous sermon. If you'll go to Matthew 5. Anybody know what the sermon's called? Oh my gosh, you guys are so smart. Just come and take this microphone, right? And so in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus isn't telling people what to believe. He's just showing them what this life will actually look like this real life of active faith, what it will actually look like. Not fake, not forced, not checking a box. Like, hey, this is how rich and how sweet this can actually look. And here's what I love so much about this message in chapter 5 is Jesus isn't saying like, hey, do this, and do this so God will love you. Students, I need you to know something. He is actually saying quite the opposite. Because sometimes we are stuck in this mode that I have to do this so God will love me. I need you to hear me this morning. There is absolutely nothing. Everyone say nothing. There is absolutely nothing you can do that will make God love you anymore. I need you to hear this too. There is absolutely nothing. I want to hear you say nothing you can do that will make God love you any less. What he's saying is like, don't do these things so God will love you. He's saying this is what life will look like when you know God. When you know God loves you. This is what's good for you. This is what will lead to a better life. And there's this word that he uses over and over that we'll see, and it's the word blessed. And it doesn't mean like hashtag blessed. I don't even know. You guys don't even say hashtag anymore. I don't know. It doesn't mean like that kind of blessed. He actually flips it on his head like he does most things. And if you were to go back and read all of Matthew 5, I'm going to go through kind of quickly. He's saying like, if you want to be blessed, this is what that will look like. It's being humble instead of having to be right. Some of you guys are like, I'm already out. Sorry, Jesus. Showing mercy instead of getting even. You're like, yikes, that doesn't sound blessed to me. Making choices that honor God even when it's hard. Living at peace instead of drama. And then he turns to them in Matthew 5:14, and that's where I want you to go. And he says this. He says, somebody say you are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. So going back to Matthew 14 or 5:14, he doesn't say here like, I am the light of the world. He doesn't say just only I am. Who did he say was the light of the world? You. Who's you? Raise your hand if you're a you. Listen, y'all, I know it's summer and you haven't learned a lot of English lately, but that's all of you. Like everybody's raising their hand. He doesn't say anything about worrying about anyone else's light. Whose light does he say to worry about? You. Like this life that I just described, he's saying, like, do these things, be blessed, then go shine this light that I'm talking about to the world around you. Because then, in turn, if you do those things, it will automatically point people back to me. Okay, let's look again. You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. Like, please tell me, why are any of y'all turning on a lamp if you're just going to cover it up with something? Like, that is dumb. If y'all do that, don't do that. That's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't turn on a light only just to make it dark again. Like, lights have to shine light. That is their job. Like, that's what they do. They can't not shine light. That's the purpose of light, right? Anybody want to disagree with me? That's what lights do. That's the only thing that they can do. And it's saying the world needs that light. Like there are people whose lives could be forever changed because of the light that you shine. I thought about that last night, looking around students in here. I have been to a youth conference very similar to this at this church years ago, and there were probably 70 students, maybe 50. And I looked around and I thought, Josie's light was shining, and it brought more people. Like, I want you to think, and maybe you need to tell a student today. That's really awkward for teenagers to do, even to speak with your mouth and look at one another. But tell another student, like, hey, I'm here because of you. Like, thank you. You never know. You never, ever know. Even going back to 1 Corinthians where we said, like, but we who are saved, but we who have the light, right? Let's look at Matthew 5:16. It says, in the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Like, the result of shining your light is that people can see Jesus. It's saying, like, a town on a hill cannot be hidden. That means lights are meant to be seen. Like, we're not covering it up. We're not turning on a light for no reason, putting it in a closet, whatever. We're lighting a light for people to see. Like, Jesus is saying, like, talk about it, let people see it, let people ask questions, because we should shine the brightest where it's the darkest. Not because it's easy, not where it's the easiest, not where everyone agrees with us. We should shine brightest where it's the darkest. We can shine a light of hope into the darkness of hopelessness. Like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of hopelessness in your communities. You get to shine a light there. We can offer the light of love that the Lord gives, the light of hope, the light of belonging, the light of loneliness. Like, we get to shine a light in those places. We can reflect that light of this life-giving decision that you made into the darkness of choices that affect someone else. Where you're like, hey, I know it's dark for you. Let me show you. Let me show you how to get out of this darkness. So what does that actually look like? Because it sounds great, right? Once again, like, I'm going to shine my light. Yes, ma'am. But where? I'm going to show you where. There are 5 areas I think you can shine your light. You have church, right? You can shine your light at church. That's easy. It automatically comes on when you get on the patio. It's like the fire pit outside. Like, okay, I'm here. Here it is. You have school, right? You have home. That one's easy. You have your friends. And then you have your personal life. Like, 5 areas that it should be really, really easy to shine your light, because you've got to be pretty much in all of those places. I know some of y'all are trying not to go to school and to maybe church and home, but really, this is where your light should shine. But I don't want to just talk about light and darkness. Like, I want you to actually see it, okay? We have church. That one's easy, right? Like, our light just automatically on there. But then we have school. And school, we can shine our light very brightly on Thursdays and Mondays because, we went to youth the night before and you're like, yeah, I'm back. But then you start thinking, like, you know what? Why don't we just keep church stuff, and school stuff? Like, why confuse the two? Like, I don't want to get made fun of. Kelly, that's cool, but I'm not getting made fun of. And then you have home, and some of you, like, your parents are along this discipleship journey with you, and it's this beautiful moment that you guys get to share together. But some of you don't have that at home. And some of you, it's easier just to hide because you don't want to disrupt things. You don't want to get made fun of by your parents or your family, so you just keep your faith to yourself. Or maybe you're someone else at church and you go home and you're disrespectful to your parents. Like, the gospel's never transformed in your living room how you act there. And your light goes off there. And then you have your friends. And that's really, really easy in your small group. And in your small group text, right? Like, sending scripture every day, liking scripture. Yes, I get it. But what about, like, the group chat on Tuesday evenings that you're in? What about there's church me and then there's friend me. And in this category, I'm friend me. And, I don't know that they need to see this part of me. And then you're left with the private, your personal space. And you're like, you know what? No one else is even going to see this. So it really doesn't matter how I act because it's just me. Like if it's just in the private, in the personal, no one else is going to know. Like, it's just between me and maybe God, but is he even watching? And then, after your lights go out all of these places, then it's really hard to fake here. Like it makes it nearly impossible. And eventually you're just done. Like I asked you earlier, what makes it worth it? Well, here's what makes it worth it. The world is already really, really dark. Like there are people who are hurting. There are people who are confused. They're already searching for something real. And when we choose to cover up our light, it stays that way. You don't realize how much light matters until you are in the dark. And I want to tell you something. The world does say that it's foolish to follow Christ. I'm upfront with you about that. You will face trials. You will get made fun of. The world says it is foolish to follow Christ. The world says it's foolish to shine. But I'm going to tell you, here's what's actually really foolish is knowing how to bring light into a dark world and choosing not to. Knowing this is where hope comes from, knowing this is where joy comes from, knowing this is the way out of darkness and keeping it to yourself. Knowing who changed your life. I have seen the proof of life change in this room. Knowing who changed your life, but being too afraid of what somebody might think to let them see him. That's really what's foolish, students. That is what makes you look like a fool. The world calls it really foolish to shine. I think it's really foolish not to. Because even one light can change things, right? We know that when we choose even one light, darkness doesn't stand a chance. One light can make a difference. And then when there's two, darkness is nervous. And then when we decide to shine the light of Jesus in every room, darkness doesn't stand a chance. That's what makes it worth it. You have friends who are in the dark, and you have exactly what they need. Your light is never really about you. None of this is really about you. I had you think of that student who so kindly shined their light when you were in a dark place. It wasn't about them. It was about you. Richard Fosbury looked really foolish when he did the high jump a different way. Jesus looked foolish. The cross looked foolish. And following Jesus will sometimes look a little foolish too. But history has a funny way of proving what God calls wise often looks a little foolish at first. We have a whole book telling us that. Of things that looked a little foolish at first actually were used to change everything. What if your light really is the reason that someone can actually see Jesus? Students, I don't want you to think that that's reserved for someone on this stage or your small group leader. I want you to believe that you have that power. That there are other students in your community, in your high schools, in your middle schools, in your sports. I don't care where you go. There are other, not only students, there are other adults where your light can make the difference for them. And not just now, but forever. Like, you have that power. The things that the world calls foolish are actually the things that God can use to change everything. Like, I can't wait to hear Pastor Tyler talk about that later. Because when people see your light on, you know what they see? They see hope. They see joy. They see something that makes them want to ask questions. People see something different. Like, when your light is on, people see Jesus. I told you earlier, like, light is light. Like, that's the job it has. And so if you are a believer in Jesus, you have light. You have it. The question that you have to ask yourself in this moment, will you guys go ahead and stand up with me, is this. Have I been hiding that light? Like, I kind of dissed y'all earlier and said, if you ever turn a light on and put something over it, that's dumb. That's a waste of light. Don't waste your light. Like, do I have the light? The answer to that is yes, if you're a believer. If you're not a believer in Jesus, we would love to have that conversation with you today. That's the most important. But if you call yourself a believer, you have that light. And the question is, like, am I covering it up? I want you to even think about someone whose life could be changed forever just by shining your light. Think about which of these areas you're like, man, yeah, I cover it up. And it's exhausting. It's more exhausting to try to cover this light up than just to let the light shine.